Today, we will be talking about 3 steps to unlock your identity, gain clarity, get confident, and unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Okay, so on to number 1, which is about self-discovery. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses, defining what you love and what you don't love, what you enjoy doing, what you not enjoy doing. And the best way to actually figure that out is just try as much as you can. But not only trying as much as you can and then forgetting all about it, but keeping a journal and noting down your insights you gain along that journey. And that will give you a pretty good understanding about certain areas that you enjoy, which you could even try out in another industry. Like for example, that you really enjoy technology, which can be applied to many different industries. But next to that, you don't even need to go out and do all this crazy stuff. You can also just sit and ask yourselves a few questions. For example, what are the activities you're most excited about? Or what are the topics you cannot shut up about when you're on a table with friends? And what activities are things that feel like a game to you? Using those questions and also the big question why, which helps you discover the underlying interests or motivations behind certain activities. I also made a video about it, so you can check it out somewhere here. Will help you to also gain an insight without needing to go out and try out these different things. Next to your own perspective, it's also helpful to ask others. So I myself sent out a message a few years ago to my friends where I asked them about what they think are my strengths, my weaknesses, and what they value me for, which also gave me another viewpoint, which then I could work into the other insights I gained. Next to that, personality tests are also a great resource to learn more about yourself and understand some things that might be underlying certain activities or why you enjoy those activities. I link a few personality tests in the description below, so you can check that out if you want to. Also, which is quite an interesting angle, is to look at your YouTube watch history, your Netflix watch history, the books you read, the movies you watch, and then the characters in those, because it actually tells you a lot about the things you're interested in, as well as what values you hold for yourself. Through those different experiences, I learned, for example, that I really enjoy learning, and I like technology and I like things that are futuristic, which is why I adjusted my life accordingly to work with technology, but also where I can always learn something new and work on a field which is more future oriented. And that is just a great insight coming from all these different sources I just mentioned, which makes me every day happier and more fulfilled. Okay, so on to number 2, which is about acceptance. Now that we know our strengths and weaknesses and the things we enjoy and not enjoy, we need to not only communicate it to others so they can better understand ourselves, but also to ourselves to accept that we hold those weaknesses and be open about it, because that gives us much more confidence in our day-to-day than when we try to hide it, because we always need to think about how we act instead of just being ourselves and being open about it. And they're also showing, like if you are in a conversation with a friend, empathy towards yourself and being compassionate, to trying to communicate it clearly, but then also seeing how you can improve if it's maybe something that is triggering other people in your life because you have certain behaviors. And knowing what is important to yourself, it is important to set then certain boundaries in relationships and communicate your needs clearly, so you don't end up over-promising on certain topics where you don't feel comfortable with, which then leads to tensions in a relationship or at work. For example, for me, I realized that it is super important to have personal time and space for myself. And I also tend to need more of that than others. And so I learned to communicate it with relationships so they know that it's not that I don't want to be at the party, but it's just that I need my space in order to recharge and then be active again. And next to those boundaries and accepting ourselves as we are, we really need to fight our tendency to compare ourselves to others, especially if we then compare our weaknesses towards someone else who has that as a strength. Okay, so on to number 3. now it's about defining our character and thinking about the future. So defining, first of all, the values we want to live our life by, based on the strengths and weaknesses we hold and what's most important to us. Also coming through the answers to our why. Then, once we have that and defined our values, we need to think about, okay, who do we want to be and what do we want to do in the future? And then laying that out to make a destination clear for us so we know what we are working towards. So make it as clear as possible. And then, once we have that, we need to define certain milestones so that we can get towards this destination. And here, it is best to set smart goals so that are clearly defined and measurable, but also that are inside of our control. Because the thing is, if we set goals which are outside of our control. So for example, if I'm a tennis player and my goal is to win the next match, it's actually something I can control to a certain extent, but I can't control completely. Which is why it would be a bad goal, because if I lose the match, I didn't hit my goal and therefore will be unfulfilled. Whereas if I set a goal which is inside my control, where I say, okay, I will train that amount of hours per week and prepare for the match, that's something I can control, as well as to say I will play to the best of my ability. And with that, even if I lose the match, but I hit the other goals, so I put in the work and I play to the best of my ability, I still be feeling fulfilled and not as strained as I would have set the goal which was outside of my control, that is to win the match. So here, thinking about those differentiations and setting the goals which are actually inside of our control. And to make sure we also get this feeling of excitement and progress, it's important that we track our progress towards those goals. Which is why it's important to also make the goals measurable, so we have some kind of feeling of progress. We know, okay, we are getting towards this destination every step that we take. And the great thing is, once we have our values, our future character, the destination and our goals defined and measure the progress, it feels really fulfilling to be working on that every day through our progress and making also our decisions based on the values we have defined. Because that then feeds into our self-confidence and self-love, because we know that if we set out to do something, we keep working on it. And if we fail, we stand up and go further. And that really builds up and strengthens our sense of self-worth. And with that, we reached the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Keep growing, keep striving, and I see you in the next video. Peace.